Welcome to Durrës, Albania's second largest city for Europe district, our magazine on EU enlargement. Until the fall of communism in 1990, Albania was known as the North Korea of Europe. It was one of the most repressive and isolationist regimes. 20 years later, Albania has come a long way. It's still one of Europe's poorest nations, but it's determined to join the European Union. And there was some good news in the latest EU Commission report. We'll also travel to the city of Strasbourg to meet Sali Berisha, the country's Prime Minister. We'll talk to environmentalists who say Albania has been turned into the garbage can of Europe. And we'll ask what to do with the many communist-era bunkers that litter the country. Well, let's move to our first story. In its latest report, the European Commission recommended that member states give Albania candidate status, a first step towards EU membership. The news was celebrated across Albania, but Brussels set new conditions. It wants to see further reforms to the judiciary and public administration. Stefan Fula, a superstar in Albania. All of the country's television stations broadcasted the European Commissioner for Enlargement's recent speech. Speaking on behalf of the EU Commission, Fula recommended the European Council make Albania a membership candidate from this December. The same day, Prime Minister Sali Berisha met the EU's ambassador. Berisha's hoping the news will give him a political boost.
I'm really very thankful. Thank you very much. It's a great report, historic one.
The speech that follows, also brimming with praise.
Mr. Ambassador, this comes after 100 years of effort by Albania and Albanians. In the periods when they were free, Albanians never had any other objectives than cooperation, integration of their country into Europe, and now the European Union.
Yet the report also delivered a damning indictment of Albania's shortcomings. The country failed to meet 4 of the EU's 12 demands. Brussels is now asking the country's parliament to focus on 5 key areas: elections meeting European and international standards, establishing a fully independent judicial system, efforts fighting organised crime, protection of human rights, and reforming property rights. Albania's opposition say they won't let the ruling Democratic Party claim the credit for the EU candidacy. They say blame for the country's failings lies with the party in power.
If we compare between today and 7 years ago, the time that this government has been in power, now we don't have a freer and more honest election system. We don't have a freer and more professional justice system, and our state doesn't resemble a European state.
With 86% of Albanians in favour of EU membership, a recent survey showed the country is the most pro-European Balkan nation. Skender Pajaj is one of these Albanian Europhiles. His shoemaking company employs 700 staff, turning out some 4,000 pairs of footwear a day for export to Spain and Italy. He says he's nothing to fear from future reforms.
The European Union would allow my business to work with more people. This would also mean we'd be labelled as European company. It would be positive for our image and would let us get away from the negative image that Albania has.
High enthusiasm then for EU membership. NGO Transparency International says there's still work to be done before Albania measures up.
If you refer the Transparency International Index on corruption, perception on corruption, so the Albania is on the bottom. The reasons are different, but well, if I can sum up with few words, it's new society in transition with a weak institutions.
Elections last year saw candidates attacked, several demonstrators killed, and dozens of other incidents reported. International observers will be watching closely when Albanians next go to the polls in 2013. Meanwhile, in the capital, the festivities roll on, Albanians celebrating the first step on the road to Europe. And for more on the story of EU membership, let's go straight to the Council of Europe in Strasbourg to meet Sali Berisha, the Prime Minister of Albania. His country is marking the last days of the Albanian presidency of the Council of Europe. Mr. Berisha, thank you for having us. Why is it so important for Albania to receive candidate status from the European Union?
It's really very crucial because Albanians are deeply convinced their best future is in European Union. More than 94% of my fellow citizens support this project. I think they are smart people because they believe, and they're right to believe, that in this process they become more free, they become more secure, they become more prosperous. That's why the government is obliged to do its best to work upon this project.
Several polls have indicated that Europeans suffer from so-called enlargement fatigue, probably partly because of the crisis. Do you still feel welcome?
Definitely there is not a warmth about enlargement, but still doors are open. And the Commission do a very serious work in helping, preparing my nation, but also with all other countries in this process. Look, this is a very, very helpful process to our nation because it's a process, a universe of norms, standards, criteria, which really makes citizens more free.
Are you yourself happy about the state of democracy in your country?
I believe the democracy is to be consolidated, but what it is very important, democracy is also to be learned. If you look at my country, it faced 2 years long a boycott from the opposition with no legal reason. But now opposition is working in parliament and we